We believe the actual evidence will show David Burke did not murder Celeste, and we would like to be able to have the evidence come into the light of day at the earliest opportunity.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to this case. Earlier I reacted to the previous video about this guy David, about I got more of his background about who he was, who he is, where he came from, and now I'm reacting to the actual case itself. The details of it, what led up to what he did, how he met her, and why he did what he did. So that's what we're gonna do in this video. So without further ado, let's get into this.
For weeks, David's legal team would demand that the evidence against him be made public.
We believe the actual evidence will show David Burke did not murder Celeste, and we would like to be able to have the evidence come into the light of day at the earliest opportunity.
Leading the charge for this disclosure was his attorney, Blair Burke, a high-powered LA lawyer known in the city for being a Hollywood fixer. Years earlier, Blair drew backlash for saying that she was proud as a feminist to represent Harvey Weinstein. But in David's case, her plan was simple. Force prosecutors to reveal their evidence early before they had time to prepare, so that they could find the holes and argue that the case was too weak to even go to trial. But Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman, a veteran prosecutor nicknamed the Sniper for rarely losing murder cases, called their bluff in dramatic fashion. She would tell David's team that she would give them everything they asked for.
We'll be very happy to put on the evidence that we've collected in this case over the last several months.
And then, when Silverman filed the state's 9-page evidence brief on April the 29th, 2026, David's legal team were in shock, making a sudden U-turn and suddenly fighting to keep the evidence out of the public eye. But once the document became public, their frantic attempts to cover it up suddenly made a whole lot of sense, because inside that filing was a full reconstruction of Celeste's final hours, built from phone records, Uber logs, Tesla GPS data, purchase receipts, forensic evidence, and autopsy findings. A mountain of evidence that would track David's every move from before the murder to long after the alleged cover-up. The state's evidence...
Oh my god, dude. They had a lot of evidence against this dude, and the defense is like, oh yeah, he didn't do it. We strongly believe he was not. He was not the one who did this. And they just have piles of evidence against this guy. It's crazy how what money would do to people. That lady, his lawyer, the Hollywood fixer, I'm pretty she probably paid her a lot of money so she can represent him. She represented Harvey Weinstein as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she probably made a lot of money, got paid a lot. And it's like, man, how do you defend somebody like that? And all that evidence against you is just so much, and you're just like, oh well, we believe he didn't do it. Something wrong with you. Something wrong with that lady and the whole defense team. It's completely corrupted by greed.
Their comprehensive timeline would pinpoint a very specific day and time, April the 23rd, 2025, the day they claim that Celeste's phone activity abruptly stopped because she was killed. But prosecutors say that the motive for the murder actually started the night before, because they claim in messages recovered from David's iCloud account that Celeste actually confronted him about the false promises he'd made her about their future relationship, apparently while he was seeing other people. Celeste was allegedly furious at being lied to, and in retaliation, she threatened to expose David's illegal relationship to ruin his career. To prosecutors, they believe that this threat became the very motive for David to commit murder, because around this same time, David's career was reaching its biggest moment yet. His debut album, Withered, was only 72 hours away from release, with major endorsements and brand deals already in place, and a world tour that his entire career had been building up to. And suddenly, it was all on the line. So the next morning on April 23rd, while still publicly promoting his music career that Celeste had just threatened to destroy, David would make promotional posts teasing tickets for his world tour as recorded on Discord logs the very morning of the crime. Then, later in the evening, just hours before the alleged murder took place, David was reportedly communicating with his team and posting more promotional content teasing his album. At 8:40 p.m.
Wow. What a sick individual, man. He did all that just to protect his career. Just so you can be on tour and traveling and doing concerts. So you did all that. Man.
I swear I'll slap you silly. I'll tell you what. Why don't you practice spitting out teeth? Because I swear I'm on.
I'm telling you, man, it's the evil world we live in. And I mean, how about just dating someone your own age? Yeah, date an adult. Don't date a teenager, you sick freak. That's the whole reason why he did that. Just so, man. Yeah. Fortunately, it gets worse. So just be prepared.
David would book an Uber to collect Celeste from her home in Lake Elsinore for a nearly 2-hour drive to his Beverly Hills home. For the next 90+ minutes, phone records suggested that David and Celeste had actually messaged the entire...
Let's look at this map real quick. Okay, so damn, she lives all the way down there. So this is where Lake Elsinore is. So she was by the lake. Okay, so I guess she lives over there. Now I live over here on this side. This is Riverside. And then you got Corona, Eastville. Dang, that is a long drive. Yeah, that looks about right. Almost 3-hour drive. Man, dude, I don't know what it is with people in that industry, like the rich, you know, these rap artists, you know, these different types of artists. They're attracted to like these underage girls, man, like Drake. I mean, he was known for being going after underage girls. I don't know what it is with that whole industry, Hollywood. You know, that they're just so attracted to it. You know, it's just complete evil. Sick perverts is what they are, man. Craziness.
Journey. By 10:10 p.m., Celeste had arrived at David's home, and barely 20 minutes later after Celeste arrived, David would allegedly begin texting her, asking where she was, as if she had never made it to his house. This contradiction stood out to prosecutors immediately, because the alleged records actually showed Celeste had been messaging him all the way to the destination, and according to investigators, those texts before she arrived were not messages of concern. Instead, they were the first pieces of a cover story. In fact, as per the filing, soon after Celeste arrived at David's home at 10:10 p.m., prosecutors would claim that David attacked her with a sharp instrument, likely a knife. According to the autopsy, the attack left 2 wounds that caused catastrophic injuries.
One of the things I was thinking that we were going to see was probably a frenzied attack.
So he stabbed
and
her.
you and I have covered enough cases to know that frenzied means you've got multiple stab wounds. Jesse, what we're looking at here are 2 stab wounds that they have made note of in this autopsy report.
One blade fractured her ribs as it entered her chest.
Is to the left chest, so here, left chest, and it is penetrating what they're saying, the underlying intercostal space, which is actually, if you think about the muscles in between your ribs, that's the intercostal muscles. That's what they're talking about. So it's not necessarily passing through the bone of the rib itself.
While another tore into her liver, a wound that medical experts determined was most likely the fatal one.
We've got one in the right abdomen, and it goes directly into the liver, which in and of itself can in fact be fatal. All right.
Yeah.
The liver is one of the most vascular organs in the body.
Yeah,
so if you don't attend to this, to an injury directly to the liver, you're gonna bleed out, and you're gonna bleed out probably internally. All right.
But even then, the most disturbing detail was not just the attack itself, because according to the filing, David never called 911 or tried to help, instead allegedly standing by as Celeste bled out. By 11:30 p.m., roughly an hour later, location logs would show that David left his home while continuing to call and text Celeste's phone, asking her whereabouts. From there, Tesla GPS data and phone pings tracked him north on the 101 freeway towards an isolated area in Santa Barbara County, about 2 hours away from his home. Prosecutors believe that drive was a mission to dump some of Celeste's personal property and destroy evidence. But while prosecutors say that David was on the road trying to dump evidence, members of his Discord server were already sharing DMs begging him to come back online. By the morning of April the 24th, David had returned home and stepped back into public life. According to the prosecution's timeline, his next stop was a radio interview to discuss the upcoming release of Withered. In that interview, David noticeably sounded more reserved than usual.
The making of this album was kind of crazy too. I mean, but the most recent version, the one that I'm very happy with, the one that we're going to put out, I made in a total of 4 weeks. So I went to London for 2 weeks with 3 of my friends, and we just made a song every day for 2 weeks in London.
Compared to interviews from just a week earlier.
What does it mean to be withered?
So the entire aesthetic of this project is returning to the dust. A rose grows from the dirt, and then it also decays back into the dirt. So with this project, the way I made it, the way I'm talking about the themes on this project, the way I'm talking about my emotions and my feelings, it's all returning to the dirt with this. It's like entire life cycle.
During that same day, he apparently sent 2 more check-in texts to Celeste's phone, but those messages could only go unanswered. And then the evidence trail moved into an even more disturbing phase. Later it would be reported that David had actually gone live on Twitch around 4:30 p.m, just 18 hours after the alleged murder, promoting his upcoming album whilst playing Fortnite, which is chillingly the very game he was playing when he first met Celeste.
My bundle real quick though. I need to buy my own bundle. Let me buy my bundle. Oh, I got a post that I'm streaming too. Oopsie daisies, twin. Oopsie daisies, twin. Who got the bundle?
Man, I just want to punch this guy in his face, man. Like, for real, right? Oh, I'm not the only one. I just want to stomp him out, dude. He just has just a punchable face. Just want to just give him a 2-piece. But it's just this guy. So he lured her. Basically, he lured her back to his place. And after he did what he did, he went on a radio show to promote his album like nothing happened. I'm telling you, man, there's guy's a true narcissist, you know, for real. Like, this is what a narcissist look like. Because I feel like that term gets tossed around like a little too lightly, you know, kind of loses its meaning. But this guy is a legit manipulator, narcissist, sick, demented pervert. And honestly, life in prison, it's not good enough. Not for this guy.
Bundle though. Who pre-saved the album though? The album come out in 4 hours. Who pre-saved that? Who did that? Who did these? Bro, I just want to say big shout out to Fortnite, bro, for giving me the locker bundle. I've been waiting for this for so long, bro. Whoa. You guys don't understand. I was playing this game. Been playing this game since 2018. Thank you. When we get the skin, it's gonna be a monumentous moment. Monumented.
Man, shut up.
Monumented moment.
I'm telling you. Just...
Yes. I'm so hyped, bro. I don't know what any of your plan was, bro, Diggy, but you're not him. I swear, not him, bro. What was that, twin?
That's a freak, man.
Chat.
But even more creepy, it would appear that in between Twitch sessions, that very same day, the day after the alleged murder, and the Santa Barbara County drive, financial records would show that David actually ordered a shovel from Home Depot, and according to the filing, that shovel was delivered to his own home through delivery app Postmates under a fake name, Victoria Mendez. Private investigator Steve Fisher would later post photos of mail outside David's home with the very same name, Victoria Mendez, on the packages. And online, the name Victoria Mendez only raised more questions, with some theorizing that it belonged to one of Celeste's friends, or to a fake ID allegedly connected to her. After April 26, 2025, just 3 days after Celeste's death, David never attempted to contact Celeste again. But even more disturbing, a Snapchat screenshot would surface in David's Discord, showing him in blood-colored, stained gloves, pressing a finger to his lips in a shushing gesture.
What an idiot, man.
Following the alleged murder on April the 23rd, 2025, David's public life would continue as if nothing happened, but behind the scenes, prosecutors say his digital footprint began telling a far more disturbing story of trying to conceal the murder. By May the 1st, that pattern continued when records showed that he bought 2 chainsaws from Amazon, tools that investigators believe were intended for one gruesome purpose: the body.
You talked about a chainsaw months ago. You talked about finding a chainsaw months ago. Your reaction to this, does this confirm everything that you couldn't actually reveal at the time? Talk to us about it.
Yeah, it confirms some of it. We didn't know everything. Let's be honest about that. But, we did find a chainsaw. We knew that they were ordered in the name of this Victoria Mendez.
The ordering of these chainsaws was a strange decision that raised a few eyebrows once publicly disclosed, and even sparked rumors of an accomplice possibly helping David. Then, on May the 5th, another package arrived at the Hollywood Hills home under the name Victoria Mendez. This time, the order contained a body bag, heavy-duty laundry bags, and a blue inflatable kiddie pool. Prosecutors claimed that pool became central in David's efforts to conceal evidence.
Dude, I can't believe his defense still claims he's innocent or he's not guilty. How?
Everybody else
What
is
the Are you delusional?
Are you delusional?
I mean, the evidence against this moron there's so much. He ordered that stuff under a fake name, girl's name. They found the mail in his apartment or whatever where he lived. A chainsaw, a pool, like all this stuff, a shovel. And I mean, it's obvious what he's gonna do. I mean, only a moron would suggest, oh, he's probably gonna, you know, a tree or something. Maybe he has to dig out a tree. You know, like, dude, come on now. There's no way this guy is innocent. No way, shape, or form. People these days.
Of Celeste. They would allege that David placed Celeste's body inside of the inflatable pool to prevent her blood from spilling onto the garage floor. The autopsy would confirm that her arms and legs had been, with her arms below the elbows and her legs above the knees, and to 2 further pieces.
Okay, wait a minute, hold on. I know it's a little disturbing, but so he went for the limbs, 2 arms, and then the leg into different sections. Oh my gosh.
It's an evil world we live in.
What a man. I'm telling you, life in prison is not good enough for this guy. And anybody who would try to defend him or support him, like his defense team, or anybody for that fact, is seriously sick in the head. Like, look, he did this to a 14-year-old girl, man. The guy is a legit monster. It's completely evil. Definitely satanic stuff that he was doing. Man, that is disturbing, to be honest.
Elbows and her legs above the knees, and to 2 further pieces. But even after that, the pool allegedly still left evidence behind, because forensics would later find small blue plastic fragments embedded in Celeste's wounded limbs, linking the body directly to the type of pool that David had ordered to his home.
We did previously report that blue plastic fragments were found in Celeste's wounds. Well, now we are learning from prosecutors that an expert was able to make a physical fit match from those blue fragments to that blue inflatable pool David allegedly had at his home.
Then came another detail that prosecutors say pointed directly at David. Celeste's left ring finger and pinky finger had been and have still to this day never been recovered. To prosecutors, the missing fingers were not random, because Celeste's ring finger actually carried a red tattoo bearing David's name. Following the David allegedly placed her head and torso into the cadaver bag, sealed her limbs into a separate garbage bag, and loaded everything into the front trunk of his Tesla. This small compartment became the place where Celeste's remains would stay hidden for nearly 4 months.
The body being in the car for quite some time. I still think it's a little confusing about where the remains were when they were transported to the car. I mean, do you have a better idea?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think he stored them in the car. We heard from neighbors that the car started moving around the neighborhood starting in May. But you listen, it was nearby, and it was listen, I'm in search and rescue. I've dealt with a lot of deceased bodies. There's a very distinct smell that, especially if it was in the garage for a while. And that's where the other Tesla was being parked. It was going in and out of it. It was not being parked on the street.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys ever smelled a dead body before, but I tell you, it is a smell that you'll never forget. It's hard to describe, you know, but I worked in the medical field for a number of years, and I've seen so many people pass away, unfortunately, just working in the hospital. And yeah, after a while, man, if a body is left out, if a body is left even after a day or two, it just starts to smell. But 4 months, not only 4 months, but in a trunk, in the boiling heat of it, in the sun of LA, because it is hot. It gets hot over here in California, especially in the summertime. I can only imagine the smell was probably horrendous, just horrible smell, and that little girl did not deserve that. But this guy deserves everything coming to him, for real.
And they had an arcade set up down there. I don't know how these people didn't know.
And during that time, prosecutors say that David lied to all of his friends and business associates about the smell of decay coming from his home and vehicle. That detail became even harder to ignore because David's garage was located right beneath his bathroom window. And in a resurfaced July 2025 live stream, David was in the bathroom with his friends Asia Collins, Neo Langston, and streamer Sakura Shimko when he abruptly apologized and joked about a foul smell in his house.
Oh yeah, I apologize in advance for the way my bathroom smelled.
Oh. Oh yeah, blame it on taking a dump. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's different. It's way different. It's decaying, rotting corpse is just, it just smells extremely rotten, and it's just telling you, man, it's hard to describe, because once you smell it, it's just, oh my god, it makes your stomach turn immediately. It's a strong smell. And this guy tried to cover it up like, oh, I took a dump. Yeah, it's insane. Just look at this guy. Complete insane maniac. Yes.
While location data suggested that he was still actively trying to dispose of evidence. On May the 8th, just 3 days after the alleged, David reportedly returned late at night to the same remote area in Santa Barbara County, leaving his home at around 11:30 p.m. And then, on May the 31st, he allegedly made another documented trip to that same location. By July the 7th, prosecutors say his efforts to destroy evidence had entered another phase, because that day, David allegedly ordered a burn cage to his home, once again under the fake name Victoria Mendez. To investigators, the burn cage fit the very same pattern as the shovel, the chainsaws, the body bag, the pool, and the repeated trips to Santa Barbara County. It was another sign that prosecutors believe that David was trying to erase evidence. And eventually it would be that same area in Santa Barbara County that investigators would claim that a Caltrans maintenance worker actually found Celeste's passport card in a brushy area in January 2026. Finally, just before leaving Los Angeles for his Withered World tour in late July 2025, surveillance footage allegedly captured David parking the Tesla for the last time on Bluebird Avenue. And inside the front trunk was Celeste's remains, still hidden in that car, sat for days in the summer heat while David swanned off on tour.
Wow.
On July the 29th, 2025, rising musician David, real name David Anthony Burke, left Los Angeles to begin his Withered World tour. But before leaving, prosecutors now say surveillance footage captured David moving and parking his Tesla on Bluebird Avenue, just 400 feet from his Hollywood Hills home. And for the next 38 days, that Tesla would sit in the Los Angeles summer heat, while neighbors eventually begun to notice a smell that only disappeared after several parking tickets finally led to that Tesla being towed. Then, on September the 8th, 2025, 3 days after the vehicle was impounded, what looked like a routine tow job would suddenly take a horrific turn. When at the tow yard, the manager noticed the smell of decay and flies coming from the Tesla.
I love that this is not phasing you at all.
I found that singer who murdered his underage girlfriend's body like a month ago. Nothing phased me after that.
Wow.
So he notified LAPD, who quickly determined that this car was indeed registered to David. When detectives opened the front trunk, they discovered a black cadaver bag covered in insects. And inside the bag, they would find the severely of Celeste, and beneath it, detectives found the second plastic garbage bag containing the arms and legs.
It was really terrible. She was partially liquefied, partially skeletonized. There were, it was extensive maggot activity.
Investigators also found that Celeste's left eye was absent.
There were other things here, mutilation of that, and
the eye, did you see the eye was, does that tell you anything, that that left eye was not present?
Terrible to think about, but the other eye was present, although liquefied, decomposed. Is there some way that that eye, that missing orbit, could have been so decomposed that it liquefied and drained away? I don't know.
While the ring and pinky fingers on her left hand had been and were missing from the vehicle. But even after the missing fingers, investigators found another mark that tied the case back to David, because Celeste had a red shush tattoo on the inside of her remaining right index finger that matched a tattoo that David had on the very same finger. For more than a week, the victim's identity remained unknown. Then, on September the 16th, 2025, the LA County Medical Examiner used dental records to confirm that the body belonged to 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. The next day, on September 17th, investigators served a search warrant at David's Hollywood Hills rental home, and inside, prosecutors say the evidence quickly connected the Tesla back to the house.
A dozen LAPD investigators took a computer and other items from this Hollywood home just a block away from where an abandoned Tesla was found with a dead teenager in the trunk. Police spent hours at the home on Dehaney Place, placing several evidence bags into an SUV Several homeowners say they remember seeing that distinct Tesla for a while. First parked in front of the house police searched today, then at 2 different spots on the street.
And using luminol, crime scene investigators searched floors, surfaces, and sink drains for traces of blood, and in the garage, bloodstains were later matched to Celeste's DNA. And detectives also reportedly recovered a blue inflatable pool from the property. According to forensic experts, blue plastic fragments from that pool were embedded in Celeste's remains, with these fragments physically matching cuts that were found on that same pool. Investigators also found a chainsaw and burn cage, which prosecutors linked to the and a possible plan to destroy evidence. Investigators also seized electronics and computers, while a private investigator later described other disturbing items in unopened packaging that seemed out of place inside a residential home. From there, detectives began working backwards, and according to the new court filing, the evidence didn't begin with David's Tesla. It stretched back for years. Authorities determined that David had apparently first met Celeste in January of 2022 when she was only 11 years old, and by November of 2023, when Celeste was and David was 18, prosecutors alleged that relationship and a pattern of had begun. Then, in early 2024, Celeste's family reported her missing twice to authorities in Lake Elsinore, roughly 90 minutes from David's home. At the time, missing posters stated that Celeste was last seen on February the 14th, with home surveillance reportedly capturing her leaving around 2 a.m. on Valentine's Day. After Celeste was reported missing, Lake Elsinore police identified David's phone number in her phone records. And when police contacted him on February the 17th, David claimed that he had last spoken with Celeste on February the 13th or 14th, while also claiming that he didn't know she was or that she had been reported missing. But perhaps not believing his story, that very same night, Elsinore authorities contacted Los Angeles deputies to conduct a welfare check at David's home on North Doheny Place in West Hollywood. When deputies arrived around 8:15 p.m., they explicitly told David that Celeste was a 13-year-old runaway. Still, David again claimed that he didn't know she was and on top of that,
that's ridiculous. That's the biggest lie ever. How can you not know this girl was underage? I mean, look at her. She looks extremely young. So basically, this guy had been grooming her since she was 11, and then started, then he got into a relationship with her, intimate relationship, when she was 13. What a sicko, man. I'm telling you, man, this guy deserves more than life in prison. Hopefully, they give him the actual penalty, you know what I mean? But, man, it's just sad, man. Like, no teenage girl should ever go through something like this ever. And if you do have a teenage daughter, please, for the love of God, please just keep an eye on them. You know, just make sure you know who they're hanging out with, their friends, whoever they're in a relationship with. Just protect them. Yeah, there's always these types of predators out there, always trying to just do the unthinkable.
He claimed that he had only met her once in person in November 2023, the very same month that prosecutors say the relationship begun. But according to prosecutors, that claim didn't line up with what investigators found. Because while David had claimed that he didn't know her age, prosecutors say that he actually showed police a yearbook photo of Celeste he had on his phone, perhaps in an effort to prove that he thought she was older. Apparently during this time, members of David's management team were actually contacted by concerned citizens who shared the missing poster and requested that she be returned home. Furthermore, later DMs from David's friend Asia Collins would suggest that she too had been informed by a member of the public that Celeste was just 13 at the time, with her acknowledging that this was indeed David's girlfriend. 2 days after the welfare check, and after numerous people prying into the situation, Celeste was suddenly returned back home to her family in Lake Elsinore. And after she returned, her parents confiscated her phone in an effort to cut off communication. That's when prosecutors say David did something truly predatory, driving to Lake Elsinore and paying a junior high school student in Celeste's class $1,000 to deliver a burner phone that he had purchased for her so they could communicate behind her parents' back. And throughout 2024, prosecutors say that Celeste continued spending significant time with David, including weekends at his Hollywood Hills home and trips to Las Vegas and London and even Texas to meet his family. The filing also described text exchanges referencing and Plan B emergency contraceptives, along with photos that prosecutors say fully corroborated the relationship. By November 2024, prosecutors say that David and Celeste were no longer officially together, but the messages suggested that their relationship still continued. Then in March 2025, just 1 month before the alleged murder, investigators recovered an iCloud message that prosecutors say showed that David was still manipulating Celeste. In one text from her that they wrote, Celeste had apparently said to David, "All we do is have and just hang out. Man, I just want more than that for myself." By the time detectives pieced the timeline together, the body in the Tesla was no longer the most damning piece of evidence against David. It was just the final resting place for a victim of a much larger murder conspiracy. Now, the case moves forward in court. David Anthony Burke has pleaded not guilty to the charges against him, and his defense still maintains that he did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez.
The audacity to the claim not guilty, innocence. Man, this guy's some piece of work, man. I mean, I'm just glad that he's dumb enough to had all the evidence in his garage. He left everything in there: the chainsaw, the pool, the shovel, the cage to try to burn the evidence. Like, what is? Man, this guy's a sick individual, man. Yeah, so I'm glad he's dumb enough to keep everything in there, from all the stuff he ordered under the fake name. Like, this guy's a moron. So glad he got caught, you know.
But prosecutors say that the evidence tells a very different story. They've got a mountain of evidence: phone records, GPS data, purchases, deliveries, forensic testing, and the remains found inside that Tesla. The next major step is a preliminary hearing that's now scheduled for May 26th, 2026, where a judge will decide whether the evidence is strong enough for the case to move forward to trial. But once it does go to trial, if convicted, David could be facing life in prison without the possibility of parole, or perhaps even the death penalty, depending on how serious prosecutors decide to make things. But beyond the filings, the hearings, and the evidence, the most important thing about this case is Celeste, the 14-year-old girl whose life was stolen away from her. The girl whose story was hidden for months and whose name truly deserves to be remembered for far more than the way she was found. So as this case continues, my hope is simple: that the truth finally comes out fully, and that anyone proven to have harmed, enabled, or covered up what happened to Celeste is finally held accountable in a court of law. And that, in the end, is all we're asking for, and that's why we're keeping her name alive. Justice for Celeste. Rest in peace.
Wow, well that was disturbing, to say the least. But anyways, this guy is definitely getting convicted for what he did. There ain't no way this guy's walking away from this scot-free. Now, I hope these guys are, well, the California justice system, I hope they serve justice. But because it's California, I'm afraid that they won't go with the ultimate penalty, put him on death row. They might just give him life in prison, since it's California and they're weird like that. But who knows? Maybe we might get lucky. They might get him on the death penalty. But even if he does he's gonna get convicted. The thing is, man, dude, I just wish, because once he gets sentenced and goes to prison, he's not going to be able to be in general population because of his crime. They're going to put him in protective custody. He's going to be by himself. So there's no way anyone's going to be able to get to him. So it's weird how they protect criminals like that. Committed the most horrific crime ever to an underage girl, and yet they want to protect them inside the prison. So twisted, man. But with that being said, thanks for watching the video. Like and subscribe to help my channel grow, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.